What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. And oh my God, Jalen Hyatt, guys. This man is tearing it up at training camp. Daniel Jones is throwing him deep bombs, play after play, connecting on those big-time touchdowns downfield with Jalen Hyatt. This kid, third-round pick, looks like an absolute steal. Today, we're going to be talking about Hyatt. We're going to be talking about all the other standouts from Day 7 of training camp. They put the pads on for the second time in training camp. And listen, guys, we're seeing speed. We are seeing the offense lighted up. That's my main takeaway, and we're going to go ahead and dive into that and everything else about today's practice. But before we do all that, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, Alex, how are you doing today, my friend? What are your thoughts on Day 7 of training camp, and how are you feeling about Jalen Hyatt absolutely lighting it up?
I'm doing great. A lot of energy from you today. I kind of like it. It's definitely fun when the Giants are looking good and things are going positive. Look, Jalen Hyatt, guys, I just wrote about him and Trey Hawkins again. I can't get enough of those two guys. I mean, I still can't even believe that Jalen Hyatt was a third-round pick. The guy is already working with the first team. He's destroying Adoree Jackson. He's beating Jackson and Xavier McKinney over the top. The speed is legit. Some of the best game speed that we've seen on this team in a very long time. You know, OBJ is the last one that comes to mind. Is the guy that just blew us away in terms of game speed and, that level of burst and agility. But the straight line speed, you could argue that Hyatt's even faster as a straight line runner. The agility, OBJ obviously is unmatched in some respects. So, you're looking at what this offense is going to become. Jalen Hyatt, guys, along with Paris Campbell and Slayton and a lot of other guys that are athletic and fast on this roster, he is going to play into a new foundation that we're building on this offensive line. I said it the other day, gave the analogy, it's like building a house. You lay the foundation, you lay the bricks, you build the second floor, you add the windows, you're stacking up all these guys, but really the foundation's the offensive line, right? The pillars that are holding up this unit. If the offensive line doesn't perform, the quarterback, the front door doesn't work, and the windows are breaking, and you got bad weather. It's not looking good for your house, to say the least. And the pool's extra. The pool's having I don't know, it could be like Darren Waller. The pool could be anything. But ultimately, what I'm trying to get at here is the pillars of this house, offensive line, everything else is working around that. Everything else has to be built around those pillars. And Jalen Hyatt is, the staircase. He's the guy that's going to get you to that next level. He's the layer after you build the foundation. And the Giants had one of the worst offenses last year when it came to downfield passes. Daniel Jones completed, this is a crazy stat, guys. He completed only 10 passes. We're talking 16 games, more than that, 17 games now. 17 games, and that's including the postseason, by the way, so 17, 18, 19 games. He only completed 10 passes that were thrown 20-plus yards downfield. It is almost difficult to do that as a starting quarterback that played every single game last season. The fact that he only completed 10 passes, he had 300 yards and 2 scores. The guy was extremely efficient when he was doing it, but no one could get open. So that's something that the Giants have tried to address this offseason. Hyatt's going to make that a lot easier. Slayton's going to make that better. We talked to Drew Lieberman the other day. If you guys watched that episode, go check it out. Private trainer for Darius Slayton said they're now working on him playing at 100% comfortably. He was playing at 75, 80% and struggling to a degree. Now they're going 100% and they're really working on the fundamentals. The ball stopping when it hits his hand instead of him, subconsciously dropping his hands, which sometimes led to drops. So there's a lot of little details they worked on, the mentality of being a winner, being like a Hall of Fame standard. We talked about this a lot. Jalen Hyatt said his goals are high. He wants to be Offensive Rookie of the Year. You love to hear that. Not everyone's capable of doing that. Jalen Hyatt is one of those players who could win that if he plays the way that he's been playing in training camp. He exudes confidence. He's a great personality. He's beating our best cornerbacks. And Adoree Jackson's no joke, guys. Adoree Jackson's one of the best corners in football. Xavier McKinney's one of the best free safeties in football. He beat both of them over the top today on a deep pass. Daniel Jones laid it in there like a freaking basket, like a Easter egg on Easter morning when you were a kid. You get there, the chocolate's just sitting there waiting to be grabbed. That was Jalen Hyatt catching that ball today. It was a beautiful sight. And Anthony, when you're looking at the offense and how this can evolve to the next level, why is Hyatt so essential? Why is Hyatt so important, knowing Mike Kafka and Brian Dable's background?
Well, I think it's really important because when you take a look at those offenses that Dable and Kafka come from, those are some of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. You're talking Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and all of those stars. And then you're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, who throws the ball a country mile. So does Allen, for what it's worth, playing alongside guys like Travis Kelce, of course, Tyreek Hill when he was still there. They've always had big-time playmakers, and they've always known how to air the ball out and create those big, explosive plays. But last season, like you just mentioned, Alex, not enough explosive plays for the Giants, and that's something that Kafka and Dable have both pointed out in their press conferences this summer. They have said the offense did not achieve enough in terms of creating those explosive plays. So this upcoming season, that's a point of emphasis for them. They want to create more of those plays because ultimately you create those big chunk plays, those explosive 40-plus yard plays, that leads to more points on the board and more wins in the standings. And that's really what the Giants are seeking, man. They got to win more football games, but they need Daniel Jones to start airing the ball out just a little bit more. Again, it's not necessarily his fault that he hasn't been airing the ball out over the past few years. The Giants have had really bad offensive schemes for him. They've had a really bad offensive line play, and they've also had really bad receiving cores. Not enough skill position players, lots of injuries. But this season, if they can stay healthy, if the offensive line can take a step forward, year two in Brian Dable, Mike Kafka's offense, I think that we should expect to see a lot of downfield passes from Daniel Jones. I know that we've said that in the past, but it hasn't always come to fruition. But we're seeing it at training camp right now. Daniel Jones has never thrown the ball downfield at this rate in any summer practice. Right now, he's airing it out on a consistent basis. Mike Kafka is telling him, let it rip, baby. Like, throw that ball deep and let's create some explosive plays. And finally, he has a guy like Jalen Hyatt with true 4-3 speed who can go downfield and make those receptions. They have Darren Waller who can get open at all three levels, make those big explosive plays. They finally have the weapons in place for Daniel Jones to really take his game to that next level and actually start throwing the ball downfield, which is really important. So that's what's really exciting to me about training camp so far. Of course, I'm excited about some of these other guys that we're going to dive into, like Trey Hawkins. But really, the number one thing that's getting me excited for Giants football, it's watching Daniel Jones sling that thing deep, connect on those deep touchdown passes to Jalen Hyatt. Paris Campbell had a big one, I think, at yesterday's practice as well. Slayton's gone deep a few times. Daniel Jones is finally Danny Diming his way down the field, and that's exactly what I've been waiting for over these past 4 seasons. So, upcoming 2023, Daniel Jones, could he be an MVP candidate? I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I will say he's going to be throwing the football downfield a whole lot more. The Giants' offense should be much better for it, and it should definitely be more exciting to watch with all of these new weapons this upcoming season. But let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball, because I did just mention Trey Hawkins, who once again had another stellar practice. Now, Wink Martindale said during the press conference that he's proud of him, he's encouraged by him, he's playing great, and having a really great camp, but that's obvious to all of us. We all know that he's having a great training camp. Trey Hawkins has been locking players down. He did get beat on one of those long, deep passes to Jalen Hyatt for a touchdown, but he responded a little while later by sticking with Sterling Shepard on a back shoulder fade and getting a nice pass breakup on the sideline. So, Trey Hawkins going up against the veteran and Shepard, undeterred and doesn't care. Apparently got into his face after making the pass breakup as well. Let him know that it was Trey Hawkins that got the pass breakup. I'm excited about this kid, man. He is really just balling out. Again, it's training camp. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but preseason is only 8 days away. We have our first game against the Detroit Lions, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Trey Hawkins go out there in the starting lineup and go ahead and make some pass breakups and hopefully get a preseason interception. But Alex, we've talked a lot about Trey Hawkins, but another stellar day of practice for him. How are you feeling, and what's your confidence level in him going into this preseason?
I mean, look, guys, every single day we hear the same storyline with Trey Hawkins. He's kicking ass. Wink Martindale came out today and said he earned first-team reps. With young players, with young rookies, you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's early in camp. We know that there's a long way to go for him to develop, but I will say this. You don't often see 6th-round picks step in and outwork everybody else and lock down some of the best receivers on the team. And, even though he was going up against Bryce Ford Wheaton at times, or like guys that are undrafted, or guys that are, coming back from injuries or whatever, or like guys who haven't made the roster, like David Sills or whatnot, and he's dominating them, that's what good players do. Like, people are like, oh, he's doing it against this guy, he's doing it against that guy. I saw him run step for step with Jalen Hyatt this afternoon. He was right there, right with him, and he's got 4.3 speed. Trey Hawkins, that was the one thing he did have coming into this draft. Incredible tangible traits. The speed, the agility, the length, the athleticism, that profile is there. Now it's just about the experience. And, Wink Martindale is giving him the chance to go up against the best and see what he can do, and he's doing a hell of a good job. Again, a long way to go and a lot of football left to be played. We got to see it translate to the actual football field, and that confidence when there's 50,000 people yelling at you to actually, be able to make that play. It's a different game, man. There's think about baseball, guys in AAA are phenomenal, and then they go to the MLB and they suck. You know what I mean? There's a different level when you're playing against guys in practice at 75% speed, and then suddenly you're going up against Tyreek Hill. It's a little different. You know what I mean? And the Giants don't have a Tyreek Hill. The Giants don't have a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson. They have some good players. They definitely don't have those guys. So Trey Hawkins, trial by fire. He's not going to have to go up against those guys, though, which is a good thing for him. You got Adoree Jackson for a reason. Deonte Banks is the one I'm more concerned about in terms of going up against that level of talent. But they're going to ease them in. They're going to do the right thing by them. And the first thing is they're not going to be asked to be phenomenal immediately. They have the time and the coaching staff, and Jerome Henderson's a phenomenal DB coach. I feel really, really good about these guys right now. The rookie class, when's the last time you had a rookie class step in and actually offer above average play immediately? It's been a long time, guys. The injuries, the inconsistencies, the graveyard of mid-round selections that Dave Gettleman had. He had a couple hits in the first round, and that was great. And he had McKinney in the second round, but that third round selection, Zimenez was a flop. BJ Hill, was he third or fourth? I don't even remember. Matt Pert was a flop. There's a lot of players that haven't panned out there. And Hyatt's a third-round pick, as I referenced earlier. Sixth-round picks. The last guy that was a sixth-round pick, I said yesterday, that had any sort of impact, Devin Kennard and David Tyree, years and years ago. He's a sixth-round pick in 2003, guys. Our sixth-round selections have been net negative, net nothing for over a decade, almost 2 decades. You know what I mean? So, ask yourself this. Trey Hawkins showcasing what he has already. We haven't seen that from a late-round draft pick in a very long time. Ahmed Bradshaw stands out. Tay Crowder starting games, but he was never good. It's just you don't get value from those guys most times. So when you get to the sixth round, you're basically playing with undrafted free agents. That's what most people will say. It's undrafted free agents, anything could happen in those rounds. Getting a legitimate starter is extremely unlikely. If Trey Hawkins can even be a serviceable starter at any point in his career, that is an incredible value. Incredible value. And the Giants changed their actual strategy to let's go get guys in the later rounds, in the 5th to 7th rounds. Let's go get guys with athletic profiles you cannot match. Let's go get athletes who can learn and then mold them. That's exactly what you should be doing. How many times do we go get these slow, big guys, these defensive tackles in the 6th or 7th round that are cut after a couple months? You know what I mean? Now, we're going after guys that are really athletic, just inexperienced, maybe coming from smaller schools with a lot of upside, and we have a really good coaching staff that's able to actually dive in and get the most out of these players, which is a significant difference than what we've had in the past. So I think I'll leave it there with that, with Hawkins and Jalen Hyatt. Just tremendous value grabs, and I think that so far they're proving their worth.
Yeah, they're definitely proving their worth and proving to be talents exceeding their draft stock so far. Again, let's see how it pans out. But right now, Jalen Hyatt in the 3rd round does look like a steal. Trey Hawkins in the 6th round totally looks like a steal. And hopefully these guys do pan out because, as you said, Alex, and you made really good points there, we need some of these mid to late round rookies to finally start making an impact on the team. It's been years since we've had one actually achieve that. We've had some first round players pan out, absolutely. Dexter Lawrence, Andrew Thomas, Daniel Jones, these guys got their big contracts, but those mid round players, very seldom do we see Giants mid round picks earn second contracts with the team. That needs to start changing, and I think it will start changing now that Joe Schoen has found some really good diamonds in the rough in those middle rounds. Speaking of which, I think there's a player who might be a diamond in the rough. It might be too early to say, but he's earning his spot in the starting lineup right now. That is Joshua Ezeudu. He moved up into the first team lineup. The Giants have reconfigured their offensive line. A little bit interesting here, Alex. Mark Lewinsky today spent all of his time working with the second team at right guard. They moved Ben Bredesen over to first team right guard and let Joshua Ezeudu hold his own at left guard with John Michael Schmitz at center, our rookie. So, new offensive line configuration. Didn't think we'd get to the point where Ben Bredesen was taking over at right guard with Mark Lewinsky on the second team, but it sounds like we're there. Sounds like Mark Lewinsky struggling a little bit, not earning his first team reps, and Ben Bredesen, we know, is a pretty good offensive lineman. Now, I'm not saying he's an all-pro, Pro Bowl player. No, he's not, but he's definitely a quality starter. We saw that even last year in the preseason and a little bit in the regular season as well. Bredesen was arguably the best interior offensive lineman on this team last year, and now he's really proven his worth, and I think that he's earning that spot in the starting lineup, whether Ezito is earning his or not, because I think that Bredesen's performance is far exceeding the expectations that the Giants set out for him. I think he's playing better than Mark Lewinsky, and I think that this new offensive line configuration could realistically be the one that we roll out with by the time we get to September and we're playing week 1 against Dallas. I think that Joshua Ezito, he's playing well from everything that I've read, everything that I've seen. He's starting to put things together. You know, he was a talented rookie last year. He struggled, though, a lot because he was dealing with a neck injury. Those definitely affect your performance throughout the season. But now he's 100% healthy. He's at full strength, and he's working with the first team. He's holding his own. He's looking like a damn good left guard. So if he can continue that, play well at that position, the Giants move Ben Bredesen over to right guard. We're all really confident in John Michael Schmitz at center. The Giants' offensive line could take a massive step forward this season. And again, when I was talking about Daniel Jones and the need to start pushing the ball downfield more, you can only do that if the offensive line starts playing better. But these players and this new offensive line configuration, Alex, how are you feeling about this? What are your thoughts on Mark Lewinsky getting dropped to the second team? And how confident are you with Joshua Ezito moving up into the first team?
Look, I think the best case scenario, my friends, is Josh Ezito winning that left guard position battle. Like, that's the best case scenario because Mark Lewinsky, he was never supposed to be a long-term solution. We signed him because we had no choice. We had no money, and he was the best thing we could afford. That's why we signed him. There was other options. There were better options. This is more expensive, and we had no freaking money. Just get him and left us with 2 pennies and a freaking handkerchief, and we had nothing to do. We couldn't do anything. So, we did the best we could. Lewinsky was serviceable. He was average last year. The best case scenario is he ends up being a reserve. Like, he can play right guard, he can play left guard, you just have him be your backup. Ben Bredesen's actually a decent player. Like, I actually like Ben Bredesen. I think he's a fine player. He just has had some injury issues. Ezito essentially missed his rookie season to a degree. He played like maybe less than half of his rookie season. But they're high on him for a reason. Like, they're coaching him up, they're giving him the chances, giving him the opportunities. But I will say this, they are not going to risk Daniel Jones just because Josh Ezito needs experience and time. I think that if Josh Ezito does not play well in preseason, he does not play well during practice, he is not going to win that starting job. He has to step up. He has to showcase that he took some steps forward this offseason and during camp. And, they're not going to risk their newly signed Daniel Jones contract, and they're not going to risk their offense getting destroyed in the first 2 weeks because Josh Ezito can't freaking block anybody. It's not going to happen. And that's the truth. But that's not to say he can't win this job and look great. Like, he can, absolutely. It's in his hands. It's in Josh Ezito's hands to be a good player right now. Now, all it's going to take is him to compound on his practices, showcase some good days, have some good reps, and he's going up against 2 of the best defensive linemen in the game. He's going up against Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams. There is nobody better to learn from than competing against those guys in practice, in the trenches, every single day. Not many other teams have that level of talent, and if they do, you're used to seeing it. So I feel like Ezito's in a really good spot because he's going up against the best. Iron sharpens iron, and you're hoping he takes those big developmental steps forward. And in a best-case scenario, he wins that job because you have him for 3 seasons, including this year, on a rookie contract, making next to nothing because he's a 4th-round pick. So that's obviously an ideal scenario. And then you're looking over at the right guard position. Lewinsky's not making much, and Ben Bredesen's making next to nothing too. So your guards, if they can be even average guards, you're getting tremendous value there. But it really doesn't matter about them, does it? It really matters about Evan Neal. That's the variable that's going to make the biggest difference. You can survive with average guard play. You can't survive with average or way below average right tackle or left tackle play. Evan Neal, that's going to be the one that we watch. That's going to be the determining factor. If this offense is good or not, it's going to be because of Evan Neal holding his own at right tackle, and that's ultimately the position I'm watching like a hawk over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's the one to watch. I really think that this battle here is kind of an unexpected one. Like, we expected a battle at left guard. Seems like there's now a battle at right guard. I think they're just trying to reconfigure the whole interior offensive line. But like you said, the battle between Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari, that's also one you have to keep a close eye on because we need Evan Neal to take that next step. If he doesn't, this offense might falter because of that. The Giants need good tackle play this year. We know that we're going to get it out of Andrew Thomas, one of the best offensive linemen, one of the best players in the NFL. By the way, a little off topic, mind is blown right now that seemingly Andrew Thomas has not made the NFL's top 100 players list. Can't understand how that happened. Put some more respect on my guy Andrew Thomas's name. Just ridiculous. I think tomorrow they're unveiling the top 10 players, which is unlikely that Andrew Thomas lands in there, but he hasn't been on the list for the first 80 or so that they revealed, or 70 or so that they've revealed, whatever. So I don't know. Mind blowing to me. you got guys like Justin Fields on this list, and you don't have Andrew Thomas.
I gotta throw something in there, man. I gotta throw something in there. If the NFL and the entire league is going by this positional value concept, why are they stopping there? Like, you know what I mean? Like, the NFL top 100 players list should be like the positions that make the most value, right? The ones that make the most impact. Like, why are they not following suit with the league? The trends that they are setting are not being reciprocated through their other content, which is, like, super strange to me. Look, I agree Saquon's a top 100 player. Like, he's phenomenal. But Andrew Thomas, like, you could argue he's better than Saquon Barkley at his position. And you could argue he's a top 2 left tackle in football. Like, I want to see what other left tackles are in the game on this list, because you can't argue to me that there's another offensive lineman more important than Andrew Thomas. Like, I don't care if right tackle, center, or guard. He is more important than all of those positions, aside from left tackle, unless you have a lefty quarterback for Tua and you need a right tackle because he's, the other side, which is, like, very rare. But, like, you just can't argue with it. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't understand it at all. The fact that Andrew Thomas is not going to be on that top 100 list just blows my mind. But listen, it is voted on by the players, by coaches, and everything, which is even more perplexing to me. That makes it even crazier to me. I don't know. I think that Andrew Thomas, he seems to have totally earned the respect around the league, in my opinion. I think that he is absolutely one of the best tackles in the league, and he deserves to be recognized as such. But listen, at least the Giants recognize him as such and gave him that big, fat, lucrative contract to keep him here for the next 5 years, which is something that we are all thrilled about. So at least we know that that's the case. But this offensive line, we can't say enough about how important it is that this unit really takes a step forward this upcoming season for Daniel Jones, so that we can get the ball to Jalen Hyatt, Darren Waller, and all these other playmakers, and of course for Saquon Barkley, so that we can get him some rushing lanes. The key to this offense taking the next step, yes, it might be Daniel Jones airing the ball out a little bit more, but it's really the offensive line allowing Daniel Jones to air the ball out a little bit more. So going to keeping a close eye on that unit for the next few days of training camp, and of course preseason right around the corner. Let's see how Evan Neal performs when we get to Detroit. That Detroit game, let's see if Aiden Hutchinson plays. Maybe we can see a little bit of a battle there between Neal and Hutchinson, and that would be some fun stuff to see. Regardless, it'll be great to see Evan Neal go out there and suit up anyway with minus 15 pounds on his frame and a whole lot more muscle. So it's going to be really fun. Of course, we're going to continue to update you on everything surrounding the New York Giants, training camp, preseason, everything right here on Fireside Giants. So make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, we will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.